The next card that will be played is the flooding card. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear Leak Project, how the heck are you? This information that I'm going to share with you correlates with the plagues of Exodus, the plagues of Egypt in Exodus. Well, now this is the global Exodus. This is very interesting because if you look through the list of the plagues of Egypt, they seem to correlate with the situation today. And now the flooding card is almost ready. China's dealing with it right now. Whether this is a natural event or a combination of natural and artificial phenomena, there's a lot of speculation whether weather manipulation is even real. So there's people that bring information from both sides of the table, and you can make your own decision on that. But China is definitely dealing with some of the worst flooding in recorded history. And have you got one of these yet? These are awesome. I was using mine today. Halo, solarwaterheater.com. You can power water, heat it up. You can heat up water. Charge it, yeah. Heat up water with the sun. It requires no batteries, it requires no additional energy but the sun. The way that this works is very simple. You can see you set this down like this. And then, actually, is this the wrong way? Let me open this up for you. See this? Boom, boom. And you put this in right here. Let me show you how this works, okay? It's pretty simple, and I'm making it a lot more difficult than it is, because that's how I roll. All right, here we go. Now, bingo, bingo. Set it down. The sun hits here on this guy, and it'll heat up. It'll boil water in as little as 30 minutes. It's great for sanitation. It's great for boiling water for rice, coffee, tea. You know how it works. Solarwaterheater.com. Use the code LEAK15. You're going to get 15 additional % off. It's already discounted. While supplies last, use the code LEAK15, solarwaterheater.com. Okay, now let's go back to the next article, shall we? The Three Gorges Dam is in pretty rough shape right now. They are releasing floodwaters. Now, the dam, fortunately, has not collapsed. Let's hope that doesn't happen. The people in China, bless you. Hope you're doing okay out there. I mean, this has just got to be a nightmare. So let me share with you what made me connect, what made my mind go, yep, this is the next card that's going to be played. I'm going to do a quick screen share with you here. Let's go to it right now. So these are, now remember, we're staying away from the mainstream news. We're doing the 30-day no mainstream news challenge. So we can look at some of the smaller news organizations that aren't considered mainstream, like you can see here, BW Business World. I've never heard of that before. Severe flooding in China leaves 38 million affected. Scroll down here. China floods blamed for fresh ASF outbreaks. Business World Online. China raises flood alert level. They just raised it to the second highest. This is right here. You can read about it at Warrnambool Standard. Damage from floods in China in 2020 is almost 12 billion. That's the Times Hub. Now, also, we're going to take a look at the dam itself via Google Map imaging. So we're going to take a look at that in a moment. And I've got several slides that I'd like to share with you. But this is the article that made me realize the next card played here is the flood card. USA Today. Millions of Americans think they're safe from floodwaters. They aren't. And I'm going to get into the flood projection maps. I'm going to show you the list of dams in the United States. We're going to look at some projections. We're going to look at where the nuclear plants are as well. Could there be flooding close to the nuclear plants? Some of these nuclear plants are close to fault lines. A little bit outdated. Let's take a look at the list of dams, the locations here. 8,100 major dams in the United States in 2006. The National Inventory of Dams defines a major dam as being 50 feet tall with a storage capacity of at least 5,000 acre feet. Now you can see here scattered across the East Coast. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. That's where the majority of the nuclear power plants are too, as well, on the East Coast. So this is just littered with dams. Now, here's what I'm projecting based upon the solar events that we're dealing with, the solar minimum, the weakened magnetosphere, the extreme weather, combined with the possibility of some weather woo-woo. It would be a perfect batch of situations to create flooding, right? So it seems as if there's something out there, whether natural or artificial, that is creating much polarity, division, as well as extreme scenarios with weather, with polls of ticks, with the information that's being presented via brain drain media. But look at all these dams. You've got so many in California, all the way up, scattered up to the northwest. And then the East Coast is filled with these dams. Texas, Midwest, they're all over the place. And then let's take a look at the power plants here. So this is a map of all utility scale power plants as of December of 2018. We've got wind, solar, coal, natural gas, nuclear, and conventional hydroelectric. Much of it on the East Coast as well. I would not want to be in this area in the East Coast during major events. There's just so many industrial pollutants that could be leaked, so many people. It's a small area. The transportation could get bad really fast if roads start having issues. I mean, how are people going to get out of there? It's going to be a nightmare. In any big city, it could be a really bad situation. Now, you can see here in Nevada, there's not a lot going on in Nevada. This is a desert state with a ton of mountains. And I mean, talk about the Wild West. Utah has, in my opinion, a lot of great locations to, if you know how to survive off the land, if you've already got the know-how and the aptitude. Arizona, New Mexico, the Four Corners region. But I did hear that this area's occupancy is full. So, hello, Colorado. You know what they say. It's pretty cool. Idaho, amazing. That's a hidden gem out there. Wyoming's a hidden gem. Montana. Problem is you got Yellowstone out here. And the amount of ash that could release from, I mean, if you want some good ash, go close to Yellowstone. Oh, I got to stop. Hit the mute button. Zorg made me say that. See, that's what happens sometimes when you look at the seriousness of the matter. You have to just vent a little bit. So let's take a look at the nuclear. So this is the color for nuclear. All right. Now let's take a look at Exodus. The plagues of blood, where rivers turn to blood. Plague of frogs. The plague of gnats. The plague of flies. Plague of livestock. The plague of boils. The plague of hail. Diamond Dave from Oppenheimer Ranch just did a podcast on this huge hailstorm in Japan. Massive hailstorm. The plague of locusts. That's on news right now. Big news. Plague of locusts around the world, right? Plague of darkness. 3 days of darkness. Well, certainly the media is describing the plague of darkness as being something on the near horizon with EMF weaponry from either China, is what they're talking about. They're describing how there was some military papers that were declassified years ago from China, and one of the ways that they planned to win a military battle was with EMF or EMP type weapons. So there's a multitude of other nations that are thinking the same thing. I mean, you'd be silly not to in today's day and age if you are practicing military drills to protect your nation, to think about ways to protect yourself from EMPs, whether it's from another nation or from the sun or from some crazy person here. I mean, it could happen. What if artificial intelligence starts to become a little bit more self-aware? What if people start creating artificial intelligence and releasing that into the system, into the webs? Oh, oops, I added a little too much code for that algo. So I think it's great that there is discussion about how to secure the grid. I think that's really smart. And when we do the research and look at how vulnerable the grid is, the electrical grid, from natural disasters as well as artificial, the amount of money to secure it, it's ridiculous not to put that money in to secure it because of all the money that would be destroyed and all the people's lives would be destroyed if the electrical grid went down. That needs to be number one priority. Absolutely number one priority in the level of civilization, connection, security. What are your thoughts? And what do you think about this situation with the flood guard? Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. I was thinking that there was something in the, I was thinking there was something here in Exodus describing flooding in great detail, but I'm just looking at the plagues of blood, the plagues of frogs, gnats, flies, livestock, boils, hail, 3 days of darkness. Okay. So what if the darkness is brought about by the flooding? because with major flooding, you could shut down entire cities, you could shut down different power grids, and you'd have to have people on site. Now, most of the nuclear locations where they do have nuclear power are designed and fortified if there's a flood or serious weather condition and tornadoes, etc. But it can get ugly really quick. Now, they've done a good job thus far, at least from what we know, but would they share with us if they made a big mistake? Did they with 3 Mile Island until way after? What about Chernobyl? What about the people close to Chernobyl? What about Fukushima? What about the radioactive waste that Japan says they're running out of space to store, so they're going to have to dump it back into the ocean? How do you feel about that? Do you think that this is acceptable? Is it acceptable to allow corporations now exemptions that allow them to put these chemicals that are considered forever chemicals back into the environment based upon a certain percentage? So if it's only a little bit, well, that little bit does not break down in the body. That's why it's called forever chemicals. Why are they still allowed to put it on non-stick pans? The stuff never stays there anyway. Do you have any non-stick pans that still have all that stuff stuck to the bottom? Something to think about. But I'm just questioning the status quo. Okay, so take a look at this. Let's look at the current population of China right now. I mean, the empire is massive, almost 1.4 billion people as of 2018, 1.393 billion. And it looks like the largest, as far as population, the most people on the planet via nation or empire, we've got China. Now, this right here is the Three Gorges Dam. So let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to zoom out, look at all the population centers around this river. Man, what a massive. So you've got this water source that's then captured here at the Three Gorges Dam. We'll put it back on satellite mode. Let's see if we can. Now, how recent is this? Imagery says it's from 2020. We're looking down here. Google imagery 2020, CNES, Maxar Technologies. Wonder how close we can get here. The picture quality is pretty good. 10 years ago, there was an article that came out that said, is the Three Gorges Dam about ready to collapse? So they were making a big deal out of it a decade ago. So if we were to scale this, let's zoom out here a little bit. Oh, it's 1.4 miles long, 607 feet tall, 5 times larger than the Hoover Dam. Construction workers used some 21 million cubic yards of concrete in the structure, which is a world record. Jeez. Let's take a look at some visuals of this thing. Wow. I'd like to do a fly over with a satellite and see what it looks like out there right now. Okay, so here's the dam. Is that a real picture? I guess it is. It's a Francis turbine at the Three Gorges Dam. Power output, river flow rate. Okay, let's take a look at this real quick. So this is a satellite map showing areas flooded by the Three Gorges Reservoir, comparing it to November 7th, 2006 with August 17th, 1987. Now, if only we could get one even more recent, but you can definitely see that difference there. Those are the locks. Wow. Massive. Look at all the garbage out here. This is just the southeast corner. That's something else. The ship lift, a kind of elevator, can lift vessels up to 3,000 tons. Interesting. Well, there you have it. Do you feel a little bit smarter? Hope so. I tried. There is no trying to. Be the change.